this is Aoife Dean and this is the Happy Weight Podcast. Thank you so much for listening. I feel really lucky to be able to do this, so thank you for being here. I was all set to cover a different topic today, and then I got an email from someone, and I think it would just be better if I answered this email instead, because this is going to help you no matter where you are in your journey to letting go of eating and weight issues. So this lady said, I have been a subscriber to your YouTube channel for quite some time, and I was excited to see you upload your podcast. I've listened to all of them already. So that's quite cool. Some of my videos are from 2015 when I was in Harley Street in London, where I started my company. So that's cool. Thank you. And thank you for listening to the other episodes and stuff. And then she goes on to say, I have gone on and off your material in the past because I went back to dieting for a quick fix, which of course didn't work out well. I want to lose 10 kilos that I've been carrying for several years, yet I'm always on a diet. I am determined to overcome this yo-yo roller coaster. And when I listen to your podcast, I feel that you get me. Cheers. I have practiced eating until the moment is over, which has been a good step forward. But when there is something delicious, how do I know when to stop eating? I can wait until I'm hungry, but when a meal is in front of me, I want to eat it all. Is there a simple way to manage this, or maybe I am overthinking it? Will eating according to hunger cues help me lose weight? I was also thinking of doing ADF. I had to Google that actually. It's fasting. Wasn't called fasting back in my dieting days, ADF. But when I tried it in the past, I binged on eating days. Do you have any tips or strategies to help with stopping at satisfied? Thank you so much. So from that email, right, I have kind of picked apart five big points that I think are super necessary to cover. So the first thing is, going back and forth between my material and dieting, I'm actually really surprised I don't hear that from clients and people more often, because when I was getting overeating and weight issues, that was like basically at least 2 years, I would say, of trying to stay cool, calm, collected, trying to listen to my body, trying to listen to signals. And then every so often I'd have a freak out. I'd be like, who are you kidding? You're still overweight. Nothing is working. You have to cop on. Another classic one. It's different for you. Other people can do that, but you can't. You do need a little bit of control and you need a little bit of structure. So we basically convince and justify our disordered eating again. And just like this woman who emailed in, for me, every time that I went back to rules and restrictions, it always resulted in overeating. It always resulted in going against cues. And if whatever we're doing is ending up with us being more full more often or more overfull more often, that is not the way to end up at a happy ever after of feeling light. It's like, if lightness is the end goal, we can't be feeling heavy a lot on the way to lightness. So what I noticed for myself anyway was actually, I kind of rationalized it that every time I say make a new rule and I'm like, actually, do you know what? Simple thing now, I'm going to go vegetarian for the week. Like every time I tiptoed back to some food rule, I had to say, Aoife, history suggests you're putting your goal on pause. Like, do it, but you are actually kicking the can down the road of when you're going to be a happy eater at your happy weight, because happy eating at your happy weight does not come with disordered eating. It does not come with food rules. It does not come with good days, bad days, off the wagon and all of that. So I had to, at some point, stop going back to it. Another major thing as well is feeling the fallout. Like I said, I think the number one thing when we want to lose weight is to stop doing the things that are maintaining a higher weight. And again, if I was making a plan to go off sourdough and then that resulted with it someday in the month eating a whole sourdough by myself, or doing some food rule and then at some point eating that food in a not normal way compared to other people, it's like, okay, that's what's keeping you overweight. So I had an inquiry call with a woman today and I was explaining that, like, it's very hard when we've been in dieting all our lives to see that people who are out of control with food, people who feel that they're food addicts, there's always a step before that. There's always being super controlling and disciplined with food. So the people that you see with a really great relationship with food, and they just eat things and they're a healthy weight and they're not too controlling. Maybe they're conscious. Maybe they don't want to eat loads of crap, or they don't want to feel crap basically, but they don't have rules. And those people then you'll see equally don't have out of control moments. So we have to kind of reverse engineer things. If we don't want out of control moments, if we don't want overeating moments, well then we have to stop doing what slim people or people with a good relationship with food don't do, and that is cutting out foods and making a rule that way. I think words don't teach, life experience teaches. So I can tell you till I'm blue in the face that everything I say here, everything I'm doing with clients, I am never being lenient. I am never, ever, ever being lenient. I am being results focused. So when people listen to my material and then they're kind of like, do you know what? I could speed this up a little bit by cutting out carbs or doing this or do that. It's like, no, you're not. I know about this. I've worked in it 17 years. I've had, bulimia, binge eating disorder, 3 stone heavier myself. It is not a quick way out. So like I said, I could say that till I'm blue in the face, but ultimately you might have to live this for yourself. You might have to return to dieting a few times, return to food rules a few times, see the fallout, watch your overeating, watch the pants getting tighter and all those things before you finally get convinced it is not a quicker way. So that's my spiel on that. The second one is another thing she said, I've been eating until the moment is over, but when something is so delicious, how do I stop? So the first thing I really want you to remember is that every food has a season. So when I start with clients, they generally have a renaissance with some food that they previously didn't allow themselves to eat. And that food is kind of consistently tasting yummy, the once a day that they're having it. And then that season passes. So no matter what it is. And I actually love when that happens because the nutrition geek in me loves figuring that out. And for a lot of the times it can be foods that are high in iron. It can be meats. It can be certain types of fats. It can certainly be things like avocados. Eggs are a very common one. Like people crave really kind of deeply nourishing things. But then say if it is black pudding or if it is pastries or, they'll have that little renaissance like I did myself with pastel de natas, the Portuguese tarts. But like every phase always comes to an end. Like it does. There is literally no food. Like it mightn't feel like this now, but there is no food that you would just want to eat 3 meals a day, every day for the rest of your life. If you think about that repeated taste and that repeated feeling in your belly and missing out on all the other tastes and feelings, it just wouldn't happen. Our body signals don't go like that. So I suppose the major one there is if a food is crazy delicious, go with it. Every single food that I can think of that I had a phase with, the phase will come and go. So trust the phase. Trust that, everything that's super delicious now might be less on your radar if terms and conditions you allow yourself to have it. So if you intervene, if you cut it short, if you get 70% of how much of that food that you like and not let yourself eat the 30%, I think that's how you're going to delay the passing of that phase. Whereas trust in the deliciousness, because no matter what you're eating, there will always be a moment where you stop enjoying it. There will. Obviously, if we're screwed up from portion sizes, we're clocking, oh my God, you're meant to just have 30 grams. And now I'm having 60. And now I'm having 90. And now I'm having 200 grams. Oh my God, that's loads. But, you have to remember that your body is well aware of the difference between a pint of cream and a pint of water. Your body knows better than your brain how much energy is in everything. So it is well able to adapt to the energy in something. Like I said, if taste-wise the moment isn't over, the moment isn't over. And if belly-wise, especially if it's a naturally occurring food, like especially if it's not like a processed food or something, there will probably be a point that your belly is like, okay, you're done now. And then another thing I think to remind yourself of is maybe the signals aren't that strong with this food, but you do remember a time where you went past this moment, like you ate more and you ate more and you ate more. And then I would remind yourself of that sustained full feeling, because that is certainly something I do not miss from being 3 stone overweight, is that always in a fed state, always fed, always kind of full, always food in your belly. And when that's happening, we enjoy food less. So it's kind of like, yeah, this was lovely, but you don't want you don't want this food to hog the next 18 hours of your appetite, do you know? Because if you're satiated, your taste buds are going to be depressed, or your stomach isn't going to be asking for more food. So it's kind of like you're using up all your chips in one go. Whereas, yeah, this is lovely, but wouldn't it be nice to stop here and then come at it again in 6 hours time, and just give your body that time in between to, you know, process and get through what you've given it already, and then come at it kind of with a fresh belly, with fresh eyes, with fresh taste buds again when your belly needs it again. And I suppose another note I didn't remind myself of earlier was just remind yourself, look, you can have this meal every day of your life if you want, but kind of from even a mood and an emotional point of view. Like I said, food is a drug. So you maxing out and overdoing this now, say if it's 2 o'clock, you're kind of shafting the you of 8 p.m. tonight, because she might really need a pick-me-up from chocolate or toast or something. And if she's still full as a frog, still from this one taste and feeling, that's a little bit of a waste, I'd say. So remind yourself of that. And the biggest one is, right, don't tell yourself tomorrow will fix it. So own the moment, right? If you are eating something and you fully recognize that the taste has ran out, you fully recognized that your belly has kind of clocked off, like your belly has kind of said, you're done. Like from here on in, this is all you, but this isn't me promoting this. This is you. So in those moments, be sure to put on your big girl pants and be like, yeah, cool, I own the consequences of my actions. The biggest mistake people make is they're like, tomorrow I will undo this. You can't undo it. Like extra food that our body didn't ask for will turn to glycogen. Then if not used, it will turn to fat. And then if another stage of the day or whatever, our body decides to use glycogen or needs to not just have glycogen, burn fat to make more energy or whatever. For me, it was simpler to see that as a totally separate process. So us adding on extra energy that our body didn't ask for, what's done is done there. And then if and when our body at another point decides to burn energy or use up glycogen or use up fat, that's a totally separate system. But you can't undo it. You can't uneat it. Like once it's eaten, it's in your body. Energy can't be created or destroyed. It just changes form. So really acknowledge that. And I was thinking about that last night, because you are an imperfect human. I am an imperfect human. And especially getting out of all of this, there will be emotional times where you literally do not have any other tools to help yourself to feel better, only to comfort eat. And, you know, we could be like, oh, well, that's wrong. It's like, yeah, well, it's wrong, but that's where I'm at. So I just do think that helps us with our understanding of why our weight is how it is. If we can be like, look, I'm on a journey, and sometimes I don't have another tool to process a strong emotion or to process stress or to process exhaustion, except to go against my belly saying, you know, it's full. And so just really own that. And you can figure that out. You can work around it, but don't say you can undo it tomorrow. I hope that makes sense, but I do think it's a really important point, because people delude themselves with the whole undoing it tomorrow. And you see, they store that event then as, sure, that'll be undone tomorrow. And they're not really conscious of all the times that they contributed to extra weight or weight being sustained, if that makes sense. The next one is the meal in front of me, I want to finish it all. I suppose the first thing I thought when I saw that is, first of all, I suppose don't set yourself up to fail. There's no need to have, you know, a needless challenge. Do you know, sometimes I think like it's a needless challenge, especially if you live anywhere that has a shop 10 minutes away from it. I think it's a bit of a needless challenge to have loads and loads of crisps and chocolate in the house if you're working on your relationship with them, because I think it would just be easier to, in a calm, positive, lovely, shoulders back, chin up way, you feel like chocolate, you go to the shop, you get chocolate, you have a lovely moment with it. But I just kind of think if it's around the place, it's a lot, well then it's just way easier to eat chocolate than to make a dinner, you know? So it's setting us up for fail. But another version of that, I suppose, would be just putting out a big dinner and then expecting ourselves not to finish it. And I suppose that's probably an obvious one. So sorry if it is an obvious one. But yeah, just like really put out a smaller plate, or get medium plates, or get pretty plates, get positive plates. Do you know the way, like, I think a lot of stuff in your house might have bad juju from dieting, like even plates might remind you of certain diets. So give all of this new energy and a new way forward, and even plates and cutlery and glasses and all of that, because anything you're doing to celebrate food and be conscious of food and be like, hey, food, I love you. I want to make the best occasion out of eating you as possible. Anything like that is a world away from someone who's scared of food, is fearful of food, is anxious of food, is guilty about food. Like, they're all disordered eating, weight gain kind of emotions to have around food, whereas you really honouring it is us moving away from a weight problem. So also with that, right, if that's like a tiny thing, I would pick your battles, you know, because at the end of the day, there's always going to be human error. And at no point of losing this 10 kilos are you going to be perfect, ever, 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 or at any point after it. I wish I had more advice on food prep and all the rest of it, but I don't do much food prep for loads of reasons. And the top reason is because I might eat it all, really. Or I'd say, oh, that'll do 3 portions, and I'll eat over half of it. Or it's happened to me where it's like there's 4 spoons left in the frying pan for my lunch tomorrow. So I think disappointment is the kryptonite here. So we just need to not put ourselves in situations where we could potentially be disappointed about our behaviors afterwards. And then if we are in those situations where we could potentially be disappointed in ourselves, really use that as a learning moment, that this is the difference between you and your ideal weight, is this over the top emotional reaction about something really normal. You know, like I had a client there, she's doing really well, and she was like, oh, on Sunday there was 6 biscuits left on the pack and I ate them. And you know, there's nothing disordered about that. Like, she enjoyed them, and that's just a normal human enjoying biscuits. And also the whole thing is with processed companies, like, they're going to win sometimes. Like, they're spending millions on their research and development to get you overeating processed foods. So yeah, sometimes we're conscious and sometimes they win and they get their plan of making us eat unconsciously. But you know, how I know she's on a good road is she had 0 emotional reaction. She understood that many, many, many people at probably that exact moment were also eating a few too biscuits too many on the couch. And that doesn't mean all of them will never ever be lighter again in their lives or anything. It doesn't mean they all have disordered eating, you know. So it's really important to put stuff in context with that as well, right? Like, I was saying this to a client today because, you know, a lot of my clients wouldn't mind if they drank a bit less alcohol as well. They'd be kind of interested in that journey. And, you know, I was saying to this client, especially this client, right, because I don't know when we started working together, it was definitely over a year ago now anyways. But like, if a camera crew was following her around doing a documentary on disordered eating, God, they'd be really disappointed, because sure, most of her day is grand. Most of her week is grand. There's nothing disordered about it. And I think even in our worst times, it's kind of like, yeah, you know, there was a dodgy half an hour, there was a dodgy 40 minutes, but what about the other 23 hours and 20 minutes that were totally normal? And I remember that being one of the steps of me getting to a better relationship with alcohol and eventually giving it up as well. I was like, think of how much time in the week you're sober. Like, you know, because I was probably your typical Irish binge drinker that would drink a bit too much 4 times a month or, you know, whatever. But like, most of my life was sober. So it's like, identify and bond with that version of you. Don't bond with yourself. Don't bond with the version of you that is like, damn it, Why did I finish that dinner? I didn't need it all. Forget about that. Bond with all the other moments in your day or your week, all the other choices you made that day that were pretty cool, pretty normal. That if you were to ask yourself, what would someone with no eating or weight issues do in that situation? It's like, yeah, they would have done the same as you. So bond with those moments. Don't bond with the dodgy ones. Let the dodgy ones completely go. So moving on to point number 4, be careful of the level of hunger. It's definitely coming from your stomach. Our healthy weight is going to be guided. The breadcrumbs of how we get there are going to be given to us by listening to everything from the nose down. It will not be your mind saying next Tuesday you shouldn't eat potatoes. It will be everything you're sensing, feeling, tasting, whatever in the moment about your body. So the first things first with any weight problem, all weight problems come from, overweight problems come from what they call in science, eating in the absence of hunger. So we really want to revert now to our belly as boss. And like I said with the first point, if your belly is still enjoying this food, you are not done. You're not done. Like when your belly says you're done, you are done. When your taste buds say you are done, you are done. But do not control and intervene before that point. Same with hunger, right? So we want to get to a level of hunger that it's not our mind telling us to eat. It certainly is our belly or our body. We certainly would physically feel better in 20 minutes time. But what we do not want is a level of hunger where you're in survival mode. It's rushed, you're urgent, you've turned into a bit of a cave woman where you're like, get it into you. Like that's not the type of hunger we want. And that's, again, setting ourselves up for failure a little bit. Or another way of saying it is there's no need to be surprised if we overeat or we eat very quickly. If we had gone past a nice level of hunger, that's just something that's going to happen every human ever. You know what I mean? So that's not something we can control. One of the things that helped me was like, if you go toe to toe with survival instincts, you're going to lose. And that's why when we're trying to starve ourselves, we actually gain weight, because our survival instincts are way stronger than our conscious or subconscious mind. So don't back yourself into corners where you're very hungry and then trying to outdo the survival instincts of catching up on all the missing grub. So yeah, get to a nice level of hunger instead. 5th point is will eating, guided. I don't want to say intuitive because they're a different gang. They've come after me before, so I'm not in that gang. They don't want people to lose weight. So I actually think as empowered women, we're allowed to have whatever the feck dreams we want, including losing weight. So, but I can't use that word. They've copyrighted it or whatever. So will eating, whatever you'd call it, connected eating, conscious eating, whatever, will that actually help me get to my ideal weight? And the answer is yes, but it would have to be not interrupted. And like I said, that's why it's so important to not be like, actually, I need to speed this up and go off sugar. And then you find yourself on the couch on Friday night eating a load of sugar and eating in the absence of hunger. Another way of understanding why being, connected with your signals will eventually lead to your ideal weight is because, just like with everything, what's that Rumi quote? You don't seek for love, you seek and find all the barriers you've built against it. And weight loss is the same. We don't need to find how to lose weight. Like we need to see what are the things I'm doing to stay at this weight. And why I kind of zoned out there, sorry, is because I haven't grown that much since I was 12 or 13. And at around that age, post puberty, whatever, I wasn't mad overweight, at any point in my childhood, I wasn't. So I suppose when that dawned on me that I don't have to lose weight, I have to find out how did I make my weight higher, and how am I sustaining this higher weight? Where you will really gain ground, right, by connected eating is, fair enough, say if you're next to a dieter, right, and you'll see them eating less on a Monday or a Tuesday or a Wednesday, but if you go on a weekend away together, they're gonna be bananas. As in, I've had so many clients and when they're working with me and then they go on a hen party, they pretty much come back and we have a conversation about how fecked we all are, because all the women on that group, or a lot of them, will be like, oh my God, next Monday I'm doing this. And they'll all be on about diet culture things, and they'll all be absolutely eating and drinking the beep out of it that weekend. And then they will be back to the grindstone of dieting. So it's like where you'll gain ground is your steady Eddie every day. You might be having chocolate on a Tuesday and you might be having chocolate on a Sunday. And that's another thing that's proven in healthy weight people is that their days don't actually change that much. You could have a lovely pizza on a Friday, you could have a lovely pizza on a Monday, whereas dieters will be way, way under and then way, way over. And or average weight in the year, say, because your ideal weight, say if your ideal weight is 70 kilos, in reality that means you're going to be 72 sometimes, you're going to be 70, you're going to be 68. Our weight will always fluctuate even at our ideal weight. Not that you'll be hopefully weighing yourself, but just to comprehend that. And so our average weight per year, because we'll fluctuate within a range, will always be due to our average calorie intake. So if you're going on summer holidays and not eating as much as you used to, if you're going away on hen parties and not eating as much as you used to, if you're binging 50% less than you used to, if your Friday nights aren't as wild, whatever, you're cutting out all the reasons that kept you at that higher weight. So without any dieting, you're bringing down your average. So that's really important. And then, of course, I think the main thing is with that, and there's a whole episode to do on this, do the intuitive eating, of course, or the connected eating or whatever, but also look for more opportunities, because ultimately we have extra weight in our body because our body didn't get an opportunity to burn it off. That's it. It's not our age, it's not our metabolism, it's literally lack of opportunities. So if there's any little walk or bit of exercise or whatever that you could do, but major asterisk terms and conditions here, right? Do not do it if it will have a backlash. So I was talking to a client today and she's got an autoimmune disease. So she can go for 2 15-minute walks a day and get away with it without any pains or aches. And there's no major backlash. Whereas if she was out on the road for 45 minutes, that could mean pain. That could mean victim mentality, feeling sorry for herself, comfort eating, and whatever calories were burnt on that walk would come back with a bang because of the hardship that the exercise caused. So like I said, if you can find any other opportunities that feel good, I'm all for dancing in the privacy of your own home or own bedroom or own kitchen, but just finding ways to use your muscles and tell them you love them by using them. The last point on her email was, I tried fasting, but then I found myself binging on the bad days. And I've 2 brother-in-laws, my 2 sisters are married to 2 healthy weight men, and they have no emotional eating issues. They don't gorge, they don't, if they gain weight, they're not emotional about it. As far as I can see, they're not fixated on how they look in photos. They don't have a lot of emotions in the area of their weight or taking emotions out on their food. They don't have that. So they're really good at fasting. There's no issues there. But if you're an emotional eater, do not go near fasting. If you have ever binge ate, comfort ate, emotionally ate after a sad day, drowned your sorrows in food, binging is your worst nightmare. Because what we have to remember as well is that the studies show that people who think a food is forbidden will enjoy it more. So they're not enjoying it from the nose down perspective. It's not that it smells better. It's not that it tastes better. It's not that it feels better. It's that hedonically they're being really naughty and bold. So we actually want to detox from adding layers of, oh, it's bad because of that, and it's bad because of this, and it's bad because of this, another thing that people do is they watch Netflix documentaries about how bad food is. That's such a kind of picking the scab thing to do if you have a weight problem. It's if you have a weight problem, you don't need any more reasons to distrust food. You already have enough fear and guilt and shame around food. We now need to move towards being positive and trusting and loving it. Fasting will make it forbidden, and then it will make us feel really bad about ourselves and start that whole cycle again, basically. So I hope I covered all the elements in that email, and I hope I gave you loads of food for thought. loads of things to work on. And thanks so much for being here. Thanks so much for listening. And if you haven't already, please like and subscribe. I'd really appreciate it. Okay, sending lots of love.